What's your name and where are you from?
Hi, I'm Mia Khalifa. I'm from Lebanon.
What do you do for a living?
I am a jewelry designer.
Who is Mia Khalifa? The adult star who redefined her story. Mia Khalifa became one of the most searched names in adult entertainment, rising to fame almost overnight. But her story is far more complex than a brief career in the industry. This video explores her rapid rise, the controversies that followed, and how she has worked to reclaim her identity beyond adult film. Khalifa isn't just a former performer. She's a media personality, a sports commentator, and a public figure who has used her platform to speak out about her past and advocate for change. This video dives into the whirlwind of her fame, the criticism she faced, and her efforts to rebuild her life outside of the spotlight. From viral notoriety to public reinvention, Mia Khalifa's journey is one of controversy, resilience, and transformation. How did a short-lived career define her image for years? What does her story say about fame, stigma, and personal growth? Today, we explore the rise, controversy, and reinvention of Mia Khalifa, the woman who turned a moment of infamy into a lifelong fight for her own narrative.
I moved to America in 2001 from Lebanon, and I grew up as one of the very few brown people in Montgomery County in the school that I went to. It was me and a couple Indian kids, and that was it. I was the odd one out. And everyone was white and Jewish, and I wanted to have a bar mitzvah, and I wanted to do all of these things that everyone else was doing and eat the peanut butter jelly sandwiches in my lunch bag like everyone else. And there was a lot of bullying and a lot of things that ensued after 9/11 happened. So my childhood was a little rough. I didn't have too many friends. I was also extremely overweight and just did not fit in anywhere.
Right.
Anywhere. So I turned inwards, and I don't know. I had a lot of shame over being different, not being attractive.
Welcome to Who Media, the channel where curiosity leads the way. From famous celebs and cartoon icons to legends and hidden names, we uncover the stories behind the people you know and the ones you don't. Who is Mia Khalifa? If she is not the adult star you think she was, is she merely a byproduct of viral infamy or something more? A living testament to how we pick up the pieces after a public backlash, reforge a fractured identity, and stake claim to a new narrative. Her journey is not linear. It's messy, brave, and deeply human. Let me walk you through it, asking the questions that her life forces us to ask ourselves. She was born in Beirut in 1993 as Sarah Jo Shamoun. Imagine being raised in a devout, conservative Catholic family in Lebanon, a society woven tightly with tradition and expectation. Then, at 8, she moves to the United States, landing in the aftermath of 9/11. Suddenly, a young girl from the Middle East must navigate the confusion of prejudice, assimilation, and identity. How does one grow up straddling two worlds that never fully contain them? What kind of resilience does that cultivate or fracture? Sarah wasn't a standout in Hollywood or media. She played lacrosse in high school, studied history at the University of Texas at El Paso, and graduated with a BA. She was average, ordinary, maybe even quiet. Then came 2014. A recruiter approached her while she was working at Whataburger. Fast decisions, fast consequences. Within months, Sarah Jo Shamoun became Mia Khalifa, a stage name combining her dog's name, Mia, and rapper Wiz Khalifa. How many people have had their lives upended because of a name, and what that name comes to represent? Her stint in adult films was brief, just 3 months, but explosive. A single scene in which she wore a hijab triggered global controversy. There were death threats, cultural condemnation, and tragically, strangers manipulating her image with violence. Yet in the wild paradox of infamy, that same scandal thrust her to the top. She became the most searched performer on a major adult site. Did your worst moment become her claim to visibility? How do you bear that weight when your identity becomes public property overnight? But when the cameras and accolades faded, the isolation remained. Her parents disowned her. She says their faith couldn't accept her choices, not just what she did, but who she had become in the public eye. So how do you forgive yourself when your family cannot? How do you stand in self-acceptance when the people who raised you recoil? Rather than retreat, Mia stepped forward, into anonymity, into evolution. She swapped a title that defined her for years for another, social media creator.
Tell me why you're the family disappointment.
sports commentator, activist, jewelry designer, public presence. She embraced the Washington Capitals, covered sports, something she loved but had previously sidelined for survival. She launched a jewelry line and spoke openly about mental health and self-worth. What happens when you reclaim your body and your narrative in front of millions? Fashion, she said, became a tool of reclamation. I spent years feeling uncomfortable in my skin, but fashion gave me confidence, she shared at Oxford. She stopped chasing the expectations of whomever looked at her, white women, Middle Eastern critics, fans in fast judgment, and started dressing for herself, and the women whose stories she really believed mattered. Isn't that a kind of courage, too? She's also been vocal about sex workers' rights and political issues, including criticism of U.S. support for Israel, a position that cost her brand partnerships, including with Playboy. She lost deals, visibility, and endorsements. Yet she has stayed unflinching. Is it marketable to speak out, or is it courageous, expensive, and lonely? And through all of it, she's asked us to see the person beneath the headlines. A woman who made choices she now regrets. A human who carried cultural shame and turned it into advocacy. A survivor who needed to be seen, not as a brand, but as a broken soul learning to reconstruct herself. So who is Mia Khalifa today? A woman born in Beirut, shaped by migration, faith, and tradition, yet unbound by them. A public figure born from infamy, forced to reckon with the consequences of her own visibility. Someone who chose to lean into creativity, sports, fashion, social commentary, rather than collapse under the weight of her past. A figure who challenges us to ask, can you own your narrative if most of the world only sees your scars? Next time you see her on Instagram or hear her name mentioned, consider this. She is not just a headline. She's a question about identity, redemption, public life, and the power of owning who you are. What happens when the spotlight fades? Do you fall, or do you rise again? Mia's story asks you not to forgive her or forget what she did, but to wonder if forgiveness is possible when redemption comes from the inside rather than the outside. If identity is a story, how many chapters do we get to write?
I was never doing this because I enjoy this. I was never doing this because I need or want the money, because the money is shit. It's fucking terrible.
So what was it that, yeah, okay. Of course. Not on my channel. No. So what did push you into it?
It was the fact that I was getting attention and the validation I was getting, and, you know, people on set telling me, oh my God, you're so beautiful. And the attention from these good looking men who I never in a million years thought would give me the time of day. So I was caught up in the whirlwind of that, completely forgetting about what I was doing for myself and my future.
I'm kind of glad you asked that, because it's a huge contrast to what it is now. Even though it's kind of still the same, I would get recognized and I would get come up to, and I would get asked to take a photo with someone all the time. But my reaction to it is completely different than it is now. I would want to crawl into a hole and hide away and be ashamed. I was so embarrassed. I felt like a warm feeling in my stomach, like I had just been punched, or like I just found out I was being cheated on or something. Like it's just a very painful, visceral reaction to be recognized and to know what you're being recognized for. And it wasn't until I started to accomplish other things and I started to be proud of things that I've done and things that I've kind of shifted and diverted into in my career. So those first few months to a year in Austin, I had a lot of social anxiety, and I didn't go out much because I didn't want to be recognized.